OpenAI is about to drop group chats in ChatGPT, so teams can literally work with the AI in one shared conversation, right as Google's Gemini prepares to unleash its new creative canvas mode, and the leaked Nano Banana 2 image engine that's already blowing people's minds. And meanwhile, over in China, Minimax just rolled out its M2 coding plans, claiming to beat Claude and Gemini at a fraction of the price. The AI race just got wild, so let's break it down. Alright, so OpenAI's next big thing might actually change how people use ChatGPT together day to day. They're rolling out group chats, and to be honest, it's not a tiny tweak. It's a real collaboration mode where several people share one conversation and talk to each other, and the AI in a single feed, in real time, like ChatGPT is another teammate sitting in the room. Now, Microsoft's Copilot already lets you invite others into a shared session, sure, but OpenAI's version looks more dialed in. You can customize the system prompt that governs the AI's behavior in the group, set it to answer automatically or only when it's explicitly mentioned, and basically tune how present it is. One team might want a strict project manager who speaks only when tagged. Another might want the model to jump in instantly with suggestions. Those controls make it feel like you're defining ground rules for an actual colleague. That focus on structured collaboration matters. Instead of scattering tasks across separate chats and losing context, everyone works in the same thread with shared memory and consistent AI behavior. Brainstorms, research sprints, or planning sessions stay coherent, and honestly, that should cut a lot of the friction you get when tools don't line up. And alright, timing-wise, it fits OpenAI's pattern. They love clustering releases in December during the whole 12 days of OpenAI vibe. Nothing's confirmed, but internal testing signals it's close. And if it lands in that window, ChatGPT shifts from a solo assistant into a legit team tool that slots into real workflows. Now, while OpenAI tightens up group work, Google's Gemini team is building something different: Creative Canvas. This isn't just about spitting out text or static slides. Up until now, Gemini's visual layout could generate structured interfaces like presentations or dashboards. Creative Canvas takes that idea and, well, turns it interactive. You get inline canvas blocks right inside the chat, embedded elements that run in place, not side sheets or external pop-ups. Ask Gemini to build a real-time news dashboard and use it right there. Tell it to make a small web game and play it inside the same conversation. You can talk to Gemini, poke at the thing it built, tweak the code or layout, and see changes live without leaving the thread. Anyway, this sits alongside agent mode and visual layout as part of a larger internal stack that Google's testing across different Gemini builds. Each mode has its own job. Visual layout for structured presentation style output, agent mode for autonomous action, and Creative Canvas for interactive experiences. There's no public release date, but Google tends to sync features with big model updates, so it wouldn't be surprising if this ships around the next wave, possibly alongside a Gemini 3 Pro tier. The bigger point is control. Instead of a passive answer, you get a living artifact you can use. For creators, developers, and educators, that means rapid prototypes, interactive lesson pieces, data dashboards, all directly in chat. Sticking with Google for a second, the leak everybody's been chatting about is Nano Banana 2. Funny name, serious upgrade. It briefly showed up on media.ai before disappearing, but not before screenshots and samples flooded socials. Those images point to major gains in remastering low-quality photos and following complex text instructions. Early testers say it doesn't just upscale, it reconstructs believable detail with consistent lighting, textures, and geometry, so the result looks like a clean original rather than a sharpened mess. And the text handling is on another level. Prompts asking for specific whiteboard text in a particular font came back with the right font, size, alignment, and spacing, the exact weak spot older models stumbled on. Creators like Mars Everything Tech and Leo posted samples showing both artistic and technical use cases. Compared to Google's prior Gemini image tools, Nano Banana 2 looks far more balanced. It handles aesthetic direction and technical precision without falling apart. People are already stacking it against OpenAI's DALL-E 4 and Midjourney V7, which says a lot about where the bar is now. And here's the practical angle. The model looks built for API-level integration, so teams can drop it into automated pipelines, cranking out banners, product renders, thumbnails, or social visuals programmatically. If production performance matches the leaks, turnaround time for visual content collapses from hours to minutes. And honestly, that changes how content teams operate. Google hasn't pinned a date, but given the pace of leaks and those short-lived access windows, it feels close. They have a habit of letting things peak out right before an official push, and this lines up with the broader Gemini strategy of unifying tools into one creative stack. Now let's hop to China for a second, because Minimax is making an aggressive play for developers with its M2 coding plans. These are structured tiers around the M2 model. Starter at $10 per month, Pro at $20, and Max at $50. Expectations were all over the place, thanks to rumors. Some folks thought pricing would be a tiny fraction of Anthropic's Claude tiers. So, yeah, the final numbers landed higher than the chatter. Still, the real story is performance and cost per work unit. Across coding benchmarks, M2 has been beating GLM 4.6, delivering near Claude Sonnet 4.5 results, and, in a bunch of cases, besting Gemini 2.5 Pro for code generation quality. That's not nothing, especially at these price points. Up until November 7, Minimax's coding plan was free, which fueled a lot of the early buzz. Now that it's paid, you've got two routes: the subscription plans or pay-as-you-go API. The API pricing is where it gets spicy. About $0.3 per 1 million input tokens and $1.2 per 1 million output tokens. Stack that against Claude Sonnet 4.5 at $3 input and $15 output, and you're looking at 8% of Claude's price. That's aggressive. The API supports caching like Anthropic's, with 500 requests per minute and 20 million tokens per minute for paid users. And you can reach out for higher concurrency if you need it. The endpoints route through multiple providers, Chutes and Atlas Cloud among them, and the system can auto-switch for uptime, which is handy if you're shipping production workloads. Plan mapping is also part of their pitch. The $10 starter roughly corresponds to Claude's Max 5X tier, which Claude prices at $100. The $20 Pro and $50 Max line up with Claude's Max 20X at around $200. So even if Minimax didn't hit the rock-bottom rumor numbers, it still undercuts the big competitors by a wide margin. On allowances, Pro advertises 1.5x usage, Max goes to 5x, and the starter tier mentions up to 22x usage limit. The exact definition of usage is their language, but yeah, the headline is lots of capacity at low cost. That puts them over the top of GLM's ultra-cheap intro plans, as low as $3 for the first term if you care more about sustained performance than sticker price alone. Community reactions are split. Some devs say the subs feel pricier than expected given the rumors. Others argue that with those benchmarks and the flexible API, it's a value play. And honestly, the flexibility is the kicker. You can subscribe for predictable throughput or just buy tokens when you need bursts. Not many coding-focused LLM offerings let you choose like that. Reddit threads, especially local llama thread, keep calling M2 a best value frontier model for coding right now, pointing to price to performance ratios that make the math pretty simple for teams doing heavy generation, refactors, or test scaffolding. Under the hood, Minimax is also pushing for ease of adoption. Their setup works with Anthropic-style endpoints, so existing tooling doesn't need a big refactor. They're framing this not as a one-off model, but as a coding ecosystem. Strong infrastructure, solid concurrency, cheap tokens, and predictable plans. If they keep API reliability up, especially with caching and provider routing, that's the sort of thing that quietly wins long-term users. All right, that's the state of play. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.